What is going on, everyone? How are we doing? Unfortunately, we are not on Victory Monday this week. We had a disappointing loss. Disappointing loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Kansas City Chiefs just could not hold it together there at the end. Real quick, before we get started, I just want to go ahead and ask everyone, just take 5 seconds real quick, hit that like button, hit the share button. If you enjoy the content that you see from me, just show a little love. Hit that reaction button, a little laugh face, a little heart, something. It really does help. It takes 5 seconds to do, and it's completely free. And it really helps just get it out there I know you guys know somebody that's a Chiefs fan. So, let's spread the love and get it out there to them. So look, coming out of this game, I seen a lot of instant reactions. And I had one myself. I was very disappointed with the defense. And I was very disappointed with Clyde. And when I went back and I reevaluated things, and I asked myself when I watched the video and rewatched the game, which I've rewatched about 3-4 times now, I went and asked myself while I was watching. I said, whose fault was this? Where was the big issue? What caused us to lose this game? And I've had several conversations with a lot of different, very smart individuals to kind of help with my exploration of this thought. So, I just, real quick, I want to get y'all's opinion. I want to get your opinion about what's going on. Let me pull this up real quick. Activate poll. Let's see if this works. This is the first time I've tried to do the poll. Boom, right there. Who's to blame? Was it the defense? Was it the offense? Was it Clyde? Was it Andy Reid? You let me know what y'all think in that poll. And look, was it the defense? The defense had 2 interceptions, and one of them was a pick six early in the game. And Baltimore's offense, it's a good offense. I was talking a little smack on Baltimore beforehand, and I didn't think that their offense was going to be able to produce as well with the injuries that they've had. And I was just talking a little smack, and they came out there and they took care of business. Let me see here. I consider Baltimore to be elite. They are at an elite status and definitely contenders in the AFC. And so, I thought my prediction was 35-31, and I thought that Baltimore was going to give this defense troubles to begin with. And so, the 2 interceptions and the multiple drives that were ended outside of that, like between occasional stops, occasional, pressures on the quarterback, and maybe a penalty here and there to help us out. The defense did a decent job at providing opportunities for us to win this game. And so, let me see here. Sorry, that's the first time I've used that poll, and it is distracting me. Anyways, the problem was the defense couldn't stop the run to save their life. They just couldn't. They couldn't. Baltimore ran at will against this defense. The defensive ends constantly got caught on the inside, and every time they did, when they were defending the RPO that Baltimore loves to run, and Lamar Jackson is phenomenal at running, They would get caught on the inside, and Lamar Jackson would make them pay every time, whatever that outside option was, whether it was Lamar Jackson taking it himself, handing it off for like an outside sweep. It did not matter if the outside got exposed. They made him pay. There was no sort of contain from the defensive ends of the Kansas City Chiefs. It wasn't there. And then, Chris Jones, Frank Clark had his name called a couple times and had a tackle for loss. So, I'm not going to call him out. But Chris Jones, his presence was barely felt. There was no double teams. None. It was maybe once or twice, but none that I could think of. Like I said, I've watched the film. There was no double teams. So Chris Jones has got to be more productive. The secondary was just god awful. It was just awful. Other than and I say that, and it was probably the bright point to the whole defense because of the 2 interceptions, and so and that's bad. They had blown coverage after blown coverage after blown coverage, and Lamar Jackson early in the game, he missed his deep target that was wide open. This game could have been worse than what it was. That's just pure miscommunication. That someone's not just doing your job, so to speak. And so, and a lot of times, it's Daniel Sorensen. And I hate calling him out. I hate calling Daniel Sorensen out because I'm a big fan. But at this point, he's just boom or bust. Yeah, he makes plays at times. He makes big plays. Whether it be a pass breakup, an interception, a sack, he makes big plays. More often than not, he has become a liability. And it just doesn't, those big plays don't make up for the bad plays that he's making. The bright side is it's week 2. So, the linebackers were terrible. They were terrible. I don't understand how Ben Neiman continues to find his way onto the field. Blows my mind. I don't get it. But he's there, and he continues to also be a liability. We got burnt on the outside, our outside runs over and over and over and over again on defense. So, it was the defense part of the problem, or is the defense at fault? Yeah, it was. But, what about the offense? The offense is at fault too. Look, Mahomes was mostly great when he had time. When he had time and was protected, and the offensive line gave him significant time to let routes develop and him to make decisions, and the correct decisions most of the time. He had touchdowns like all over the place. He threw touchdowns to Travis Kelce. He threw a touchdown to Demarcus Robinson, to Byron Pringle. He got the ball to Blake Bell. He got the ball to McCole Hardman for significant gains. For significant gain, he got the ball to Michael Burton. Patrick Mahomes, sorry. He was mostly great. Tyreek Hill, unfortunately, was doubled up the majority of the night. And, I kind of said in the preseason, I thought that the wide receiver 2 would be addressed as like almost a wide receiver by company, I guess. And that's kind of how it's worked out. We've seen all 3 candidates that we considered for the wide receiver 2 position. All 3 of them stepped up. Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, McCole Hardman, they all stepped up. And they needed to, because Tyreek Hill is was double covered, and and even Travis Kelce, of course he's going to step up. He's and kudos to him. He broke that record, 8,000 yards by tight end. So I want to give props to him. That's an incredible record. But he's Mr. Reliable. He's always going to get 70 plus yards every single game. But the thing is the only reason I say Mahomes was mostly great is because he threw that interception. And it was incredibly questionable. That interception, that ball should have never left his hands. And, he should have just went down. He was only like a loss of 1 or something like that. And it was ridiculous that he threw that. Let me throw this in there real quick. On that play where Mahomes threw that interception, the Ravens sent 3 guys. 3 guys. And now, to be honest, they had a 4th that came in late. And so, but the fact still remains that, eyelash. The fact remains that he had no protection. There was 3 guys. They flushed him up in the pocket. They pushed him up in the pocket, and that late rusher came in and provided that pressure that forced him to throw the interception. Now, I'm not making any excuses for Patrick Mahomes because there's no way, shape, or form should he have thrown that ball. He shouldn't have. But he has to have protection. So, was the offense at fault? I mean, yeah, Clyde still can't get going. The offensive line looks terrible. Clyde is a former first-round pick. And that is a lot of value to put into one particular player. And that value we put into Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not matching up with the production that we're getting from him. And so it's just very frustrating. I will say this is a completely revamped offensive line. And, when the season began, I was really excited to see Orlando Brown, Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Lucas Niang. It was completely different. Orlando Brown got whooped repeatedly all game long. Creed Humphrey, he's the center. He had the wild snap to Mahomes, which cost him dearly, resulted in intentional grounding penalty, put him down at like the 2-yard line. The rookies, Trey Smith, Lucas Niang, they looked and got worked over like the rookies that they are. It was just terrible. Now it's a completely new offensive line, so I like I said earlier, it's week 2. I'm not ready to hit that panic button yet, but the potential they're not meeting potential, and it looks terrible. This is not a good offensive line. If we resort to being one-dimensional and only going to the pass, teams will pin their ears back, so to speak, and they'll rush, and they'll have 7 DBs. They'll have 7 defensive backs because they don't respect the run. And if we want to slow that pass rush down, they're going to have to run that ball. They're going to have to establish the run game or establish a really good screen game. That it brings me to a good question. Look, is Clyde Edwards-Helaire a bust? Is he a bust? You let me know. Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire a bust? Or is it just an offensive line issue? I want to know what y'all think about it. Let me know in the poll below. It brings me to my next issue, or my next question, really. Is it Clyde's fault? Is it Clyde's fault right now? Like, is the fumble at the end of the game, is that why we lost? It's part of the reason for sure. I'll tell you that. Here's the thing about Clyde, though. During his time in this league so far, his small sample size, but also throughout his collegiate career, he's made a reputation of not fumbling. He doesn't really put the ball on the ground at all. And the fact that Clyde fumbled in that position, it's very, very, very uncharacteristic of Clyde. And so, it's still frustrating. In that position, you're running the ball from the 32-yard line. You're running that play from the 32-yard line. You're in field goal range already. The only play, statistically, that has a lower chance of a turnover occurring is a QB kneel. Now, that's not going to happen because we're at the 32-yard line. We don't want to kick from the 34 and then the 36, and that just doesn't make sense. We want to set our kicker up and try to get a couple extra yards in the process. So what do? They run a QB draw, a running back draw. Okay? Statistically, that is a very, very safe play to try to avoid a turnover. And Clyde's sole priority in that situation is ball security. He absolutely cannot fumble the ball in that situation. So, I know it's uncharacteristic, but just like if it would have been Patrick Mahomes in that situation and they decided to pass the ball and say he threw an interception, the QB would be held accountable. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire needs to be held accountable as well. So, is it his fault? Yeah, a little bit. Is it Andy Reid's fault? I've heard that one too. That's a good one. That's a good one. Is it Andy Reid's fault? Once again, and I'm sorry on the late switch on that, but there's some highlights for y'all. So once again, I feel as if this team has fell victim to Andy Reid's tendency to get conservative with the lead. He gets these 2-possession leads, and I can go back and I can literally make a video, a highlight reel of examples of him getting conservative when he has 2 possessions. It's unreal how many times it happens. And The final score was 35-36, right? Baltimore wins. The Chiefs, they obtained that 35 points, that 35 mark, with 6 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the third quarter. The third quarter, not the fourth one, the third one. Okay? So, from that point on, they had so many opportunities to go put the game away. And you could see that Andy Reid's play call got extremely conservative. And he, in a position like that, against what you would consider an AFC contender, you have to put the pedal to the metal. You have to just keep putting up points and put the game out of reach, because it's not over. It's not over until it's over. You only played 2.5 quarters, and then you backed off the accelerator. And this team, this Baltimore team, they are gritty. They are tough. They do not give up, and they showed that. And you know, this time it was them that were able to make the comeback. And Lamar Jackson was able to get his first win against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So it was just really weird that, like, all of a sudden, you know, Baltimore hasn't been able to stop Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is slinging the ball all over the yard. He's thrown 3 touchdowns, you know, to 3 different receivers. Darrell Williams has a touchdown. Travis Kelce, Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson. We all got touchdowns. And then, you know, we get this lead. And Baltimore hasn't been able to stop them the whole time for 2.5 quarters. And now Kansas City can't do nothing. It's because the play calling changed. It's because of his conservative play calling. And it's ridiculous that they didn't score a point the entire time from 6 minutes and 50 seconds left in the third quarter to the end of the game. No points. Not a field goal, nothing. So, you know, to answer the question, you know, at the beginning of this stream, the question was, well, who's to blame? You know, I came into watching the film with that question in mind of who's to blame. And I don't know what is going on with the stream. It is choppy. I apologize. But the question was, who's to blame? Everyone. Everyone's to blame. Outside of the 2 turnovers and 6 points, the defense was terrible. The offense was the greatest out of all areas. Like, they did the best out of all areas, but they still have glaring issues. The offensive line is played terrible. They can't get their running game period going whatsoever. None of those guys can get going. Which leads me to, like, you know, I don't think Clyde's a bust. I think it's the offensive line. And then, you know, Andy Reid, he continues to get passive, conservative, with 2 possession leads. He continues to do that. Clyde and Pat, they both have unnecessarily ridiculous turnovers. It was a bad game all the way around. And you know what? To be quite honest, I'm glad. I'm glad it was a wake-up call. All we've heard is 17-0, 17-0. Hoopla. Get rid of that nonsense. Now we know there's glaring issues, and we can go back to work. We can go back to work. They can go in, get their grind on, and start fixing these issues. and it's just week 2. It's just week 2. So don't hit the panic button yet. I'm not quite ready to hit that panic button just yet. I know The team did not look good. They didn't. And moving forward, they've got to tighten up the offensive line. The offensive line, it has potential. These guys are talented, but they've never played together. None of these guys have ever played together, ever. So, let's give them a little bit of time, and they have to work on trying to build that chemistry moving forward. The Chiefs have to establish a more balanced running attack, and that includes getting the running game started. We have to get more production for the investment that we made for Clyde. It just, and I don't think it's his fault at all. I think it's the offensive line's fault. And so if we can get that game, if we can get the passing attack to be more balanced, it will relieve Patrick Mahomes from throwing the ball 45, 50 times a game and take some of that pressure off of the passing game. At this point, it feels like if we can't get the passing game going, or if there's any hiccups, then it's going to be a long game. We're in it, and it's going to be close. And just like last night, there's a good possibility that we might lose. And then the secondary, we have to shore up some of those communication errors, those miscommunications, those blown coverages. They were communication errors. Both times you could see the safeties and the cornerbacks looking at each other going, whoa, what happened? So, I just, and the thing is all these things, it comes down to like discipline, and they have to establish a pass rush. And Chris Jones, Frank Clark, they have to get things going. So it comes down to discipline. It comes down to communication. And it comes down to chemistry. And what's encouraging and why I'm not quite ready to hit that panic button yet is all those things can be fixed. The stormy weather. Yeah, it's starting to storm here, and that might have something to do with the stream. But the show must go on. So looking forward, we've got the LA Chargers. We've got the LA Chargers next. And those guys, they're still pulling it together. It's still a work in progress, but they've got a bunch of talent. Justin Herbert is no joke. He's got a bunch of talent. He's got the arm strength, he's got the mobility, and he's smart enough to read NFL defenses. He's got the talent. And then he's got a bunch of weapons. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. These guys, they're not no chumps. These are high caliber weapons. And so, it's gonna put some strain on this defense. It's definitely gonna be a test for this defense, who doesn't look like they've got it together much. And then, on the offensive side, Joey Bosa is a beast. Asante Samuel Jr. has been making plays. He's been making tons of plays. And like I said, they're still a work in progress. Kenneth Murray, the linebacker out there from Oklahoma, he's out there. He's making big plays. They're a work in progress. They're still very talented. They're very, very good. They're very talented. It's going to be a test on both sides of the ball. And so, I'm excited to see how Kansas City recovers from, quite frankly, getting whipped up on. I mean, they didn't look good. And they got beaten every aspect of the game. And they definitely they're going to need to shore some things up to catch this dub, to catch this W coming up against the Chargers. Real quick, couple people made some comments throughout the game. Mike Harris, or throughout this stream, Mike Harris, he left us with some hashtags. I appreciate that, man. It really does help. Even those hashtags, they help spread the word. It helps build the brand, and it helps reach out to other people that might be interested in those same hashtags. So, Mama Bear, of course, Connie Byatt in the house, like she is every stream. Thank you so much. Daniel Hibden, appreciate you showing up tonight. He says, team played good. Offense, O-line played damn good. Defense could use some more work. I disagree. I think that the offensive line, Creed Humphrey missed several big blocks. I think the only person on the offensive line that looked good was the left guard, Joe Thuney. Orlando Brown Jr., he constantly got worked. You know, he was constantly inside out moves. It didn't matter. Power rush, finesse, spin. It didn't matter. He got worked. So, but I appreciate you leaving the comment, and that's why I really strongly encourage the comments, because it generates that conversation. Even though I don't necessarily agree. I think the O-line played like garbage, but that is, we'll just have to agree to disagree. David Lindsay says, forget the fumble. The defense couldn't stop the run to save their life. But yet, they did enough to where they should have won the game. I understand it was a problem. I'm not denying that. But at the end of the day, they were in position. They were at the 32-yard line. And they did enough to where Clyde should have never fumbled. Maybe he loses one right there. They send their kicker out, and they kick it. They should have won. So, yeah, it wasn't good. The defense wasn't good. It was enough to get the win, and we couldn't capitalize on it. So, yeah, I don't disagree that the defense was terrible. And that's been an issue for years now. And the thing is, other than, we got Willie Gay Jr. and we got Nick Bolton, and it's not helping. They're not putting any significant. Anthony Hitchens isn't the answer. They're not putting any significant stock into the I don't know. I just don't. I don't like the route that this defense is going. I said to my buddy of mine, it's very worrisome. It's very, very, very worrisome. And I think that, I'm glad that it happened. I'm really glad that it happened. Of course, I don't ever enjoy when the Kansas City Chiefs lose, but I'm glad that it happened, and it happened so early in the season, because now it exposed some glaring issues, and there's time to pull it together. There's more than enough time. It's better than it happening in, say, week 12, week 13. So, anyways, look, guys, I appreciate each and every single one. Mama Bear says, love the new graphics and the polls. Thank you. I've been working hard on the production side of things to try to get some things going. So I can bring some better content for you. Once again, if you get 5 seconds, if you have a spare 5 seconds, just share this stream. Go in, like the Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk page, follow it, and check out my YouTube page. There should be a link if everything worked right. If not, you can find my YouTube link in my Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk page. There's some cool things there, like highlights, week ones, every touchdown from week one, Thursday night football highlight. I'm starting to create all kinds of content. So go check it out, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be some great stuff coming out. I strongly encourage, just go hit that. And, I appreciate you guys. It's been fun. And until next time, once again, I am Jaymes Howell. This was Jaymes Howell's Chiefs Talk. And as always, stay legendary, my friends.